Alright, welcome back to my boss build series. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to get your hands on some ADEPT raid loot as a solo player that doesn't have a clan, doesn't have a fire team, doesn't have friends playing the game. We have this thing called the official Destiny 2 app with a fire team finder. There are dozens of posts made within the last minute. People looking for help doing the activity that you want to be doing, so you can just join them and get it done with minimal communication. And I'm going to show you how to do it with this build, because if you are joining a random fire team, especially for master raid, you want to show up with a good build, especially if you're not super experienced with the raid or not completely comfortable with playing in a fire team or whatever. If you want to be that guy who just says, hey, I don't want to talk, I just want to do ad control, well, this is the build for you, because actually doing ad control in a master raid setting is maybe the highest skill position in the raid, because the ads are no joke, and you need a absolutely top tier build to do ad control and have that minimal communication. Not that I'm afraid of communicating with players. I do so, but I know a lot of people are, and that's what turns them off of doing raids and dungeons and fire team stuff in general. So yes, I'm in a fire team, but I'm trying to give you that I'm trying to explain how you can do this type of stuff as a solo player, as someone who just wants to play the game solo. You could still get your hands on ADEPT raid loot and artifice armor and whatever. So the build I'm using here is Strand Titan, because Strand Titan is pretty much one of the best, if not the best, subclass to use for crowd control and ad clear, right? There's going to be barrier champions spawning on my side. My job in this run is to do the ad clear on left side, and I haven't done a lot of running in this encounter, but I've done a lot of gaze grabbing, taking hatred off Nezarec, so I'm comfortable doing that. Ad clear is perfectly fine to me. The fact that I can immediately get rid of the barriers and the colossuses, and I can just neutralize everything, makes it very easy to do this job. My super Blade Fury, because I'm not going to be using it on Nezarec. You do not want to use a roaming super on Nezarec. You just want to use your maximum damage weapons, basically. Another reason why you would never want to use a roaming super on Nezarec is because he constantly suppresses you. So he will suppress you out of your super, which he does to me at the end, because I try to be all fancy in the end and do my Blade Fury to finish him off. And then he just knocks me out of it after 2 swings. So I've got 2 loadouts here. I've got a survival loadout, harvesting armor charge, and then a damage loadout that I swapped to for triple arc weapon surge and Witherhoard instead of navigator. And you can see I'm missing all kinds of Witherhoard shots. Nezarec is just as dodgy on master as he is on normal. But the idea here is I have a clown cartridge hothead, so that I can dump all my reserves in a single damage phase, and I can get a few Witherhoard shots off, and if I still have time, I can use my rapid fire fusion rifle iterative loop to just do a little bit of extra damage. I've just been liking my clown cartridge hothead lately. I have 4 or 5 hotheads that I've kept in my vault, ADEPT ones with I've got field prep explosive light, demo explosive light. I've got a few rolls. I've got an auto loading holster, but clown cartridge, even though it's not a damage perk, it is a DPS perk because it allows you to get more rockets down range sooner than otherwise. I'm using double special ammo here so that I can generate more ammo for myself and for my fire team members, because I am using heavy ammo scout. So if I make bricks on left, then I will call them out for my fire team members. That way they can get some heavy as well. And you'll see for every single damage phase here, I actually pretty much get max heavy, except for the last damage phase. We did have somebody on the fire team using Aeons, so he got a lucky finish on a barrier or a Colossus right before damage. But yeah, so what else can I say about the build? Well, I'm using the Navigator, which I've been having fun using. Honestly, I think that Quicksilver Storm is even better than the Navigator. It's better at ad clear, better at breaking barrier shields. Obviously, this season because auto rifles are in the artifact mod for barrier champions. The grenade launcher aspect is basically free heavy ammo. But I'm using double special because I want more heavy bricks. That is the main reason. I do carry a Quicksilver Storm with me though during this raid, so that if I do run out of special, I can switch over to Quicksilver. But the Navigator is still good. It's an exotic trace rifle, so it's doing more damage than any legendary trace rifle. The exotic perks and the catalyst are really not are really kind of nothing. Like shooting your allies to give them woven mail is such a niche perk that there's no utility for it in this raid as far as I can tell. I'm not going to stop shooting ads to start shooting my allies. Like, I'm not going to waste ammo, especially as a berserker when I could already give everybody woven mail basically all the time. There's no reason for me to shoot them with Navigator. I'm using it because I need to use double special, and I want to use a Strand a Strand weapon that does good damage, that can benefit from the allied unraveling and all that kind of stuff. Also, the tangle point that you get from the catalyst is, I think it could be useful for like the transition phase, like the in-between phases between encounters, jumping puzzles and that kind of stuff. If you want to switch to grapple grenade, or if you're on Strand Hunter with like Widow's Silk and you have double grapple grenades, being able to put a grapple point up in the air for free from the Navigator is kind of nice, but it's not something that's going to help you during a boss fight or an encounter where you're clearing ads. You just want the damage, and the Navigator does good damage. So iterative loop I have on me all the time. I'm not using it during setup. It's just for backup for damage. And then hothead, like I said. For the swap, oh, also my super, like I was saying earlier, you're not using my super for damage versus Nezarec, but I am using it when there's a lot of ads around, and when the barrier is up. That is the best time to use your super. So you can just quickly make orbs for your teammates, get rid of everything, suspend everything. You'll probably make a few ammo bricks in the process. So just do it before damage. What else was I going to say? Well, here we are on the last damage phase. So now Nezarec's going to be enraged. You can see I've got 3 rockets, so I can get those downrange. And I should have just stayed put here and used iterative loop, but I wanted to be fancy, and look what happened. No more super. So that's why you don't use a Roman super. You can get away with Thunder Crash, but you can't get away with a Roman super. Unfortunately, I don't get any adept loot here. I get that in the next encounter, which is the first encounter of the raid, because it's challenge this week. So if you do the challenge, you get double loot.
Your deepest slumber. You will remember me, Guardian.
So damage here, I'm actually on the top of the scoreboard for damage amongst a fire team with a bunch of hunters. Well, one hunter using Star Eater scales, so I actually did more damage than the hunter with Star Eater scales somehow. But I wonder if that's because I may have been the only person swapping to a damaged loadout with triple surge mods on legs. I feel like that might be the case, and also with the seasonal artifact mod that when you affect targets with Strand debuffs, you then do more arc and or void weapon damage. So I don't know what those values are actually. That'd be good to know. But it is possible that I could have done more damage because of that perk. Because I wasn't using a damage super, so I don't know, but the damage was pretty good there. So now I'm going to do the first encounter, which is not as exciting, but it's pretty quick. So, and you'll see what kind of loot I get at the end. I'm basically using my survival loadout, and all I do is I swap to one Strand surge mod on my legs and a copy of time dilation, and this way I get a little bit of survivability from like recuperation and also a bit of damage. So it's like a hybrid build, you know, just one single loadout for the entire encounter. And instead of using hothead, I'm using circular logic, so that I can basically just always have shackle grenades, always have unraveling rounds, because this thing has feeding frenzy and demolitionist on it. This is my most used circular logic that I have. I do have like a target lock as well, but I'm not really using it for single target damage. I'm using it for ad clear, and I'm using it to get more shackle grenades. So yeah, it's it's one of my favorite machine guns. If I'm on Strand, as much as possible, I'm trying to use circular logic. Okay, so we are doing challenge here, and the way this works is basically you can't kill the tormentors unless you have I think it's the field of light buff, but you need to have the buff in order to kill the tormentor. If you don't, then the challenge will fail, right? So when I joined this fire team, I just said, hey, you know, I've actually done this encounter once on Master. You know, like something like I can't kill the tormentor unless I have the buff, right? And then the people were like, I think they're all in the same raid clan or something. But they're like, yep. And I'm like, okay, so I can just, if you want, I could just do ad clear, and I could just, if I don't have the buff, I won't touch the tormentor, or I'll just like, you know, I'll just get the tormentor weak. I'll never finish the kill. And they're like, yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so it's that easy. Like, you don't have to know how to run. You don't really have to know how this works all that much. Just clear ads. Give your allies woven mail. And suspend everything. Do crowd control. Get the tormentor weak, but never kill the tormentor. That was my job. So pretty easy. Which means that you also do have to be careful if you're damaging the tormentor. When they do start to get weak, just stop, because like I have unraveling rounds all the time, obviously, so that's going to do damage over time. So you want to make sure that you're not like doing area of effect damage to the tormentor or damage over time to the point where it could actually kill them without you intending to kill them, because that does happen quite often. So I just do a little bit of damage here and there, and then, you know, basically I'm trying to focus all the barriers and just the biggest crowds, the biggest groups of mobs. That was the closest I came to death there, but still this was, I managed to do this without dying, so that was pretty good. Again, here I'm running double special for more machine gun ammo, and because I'm not really using my elemental weapon, I just had a blinding GL, that way if I really need to I can blind enemies as well. So here's the loot that I got: some prisms, some shards, and before we started this encounter, as soon as I joined, people were talking about what they're farming for, and they were going for that Briar's Contempt with Reconstruction and Focused Fury. So I said, oh yeah, okay. I'm like, well, I've already got it crafted with enhanced perks and everything and masterwork, but I'm like, yeah, okay. So at the end, of course, what do I get? I get what they're looking for. So if there's one way to make your fire team members dislike you, it's to let them know at the end that you got what they were looking for. So that's what I did, and sometimes they just won't say anything at all, or sometimes they'll give you the F-bomb and tell you to F off. But I had to show them, and yeah, so this is the first Adept heavy weapon that I have from the raid, and I'm definitely going to be enhancing it. Anyways, if you enjoyed this type of video, if it helped you out at all, leave a like, sub to the channel, and I'll be doing more solo stuff from now on. But I would like your input if you think this is, if you'd like me to cover more raid builds, like as a solo player joining LFG, doing very like random rolls or whatever. Let me know in the comments, and I will do that. So, yeah. Anyways, take care, guys.